Welcome to Venture Step Podcast, where we discuss entrepreneurship, industry trends, and the occasional book review. Today, it's just going to be me, no guests. I'm in the lab, talking tools with you. We're going to be talking about Google Flow, Google Jules. Those are the two tools mainly going to be covering the product Google Jules versus Google Flow. Google Flow is a content creation platform where you can generate high-fidelity videos. Jules is an autonomous coding platform where you manage agents and can have agents work in sync and or independently of each other on the same code base and work on various tasks. Tasks makes more sense. That's today's episode, but I do realize that it's been a while since I've done a host intro. So if you're unfamiliar who I am, my name is Dalton Anderson. I'm the host of Venture Step Podcast, and I'm really happy to be here. I work on all sorts of crazy stuff. I've been really fortunate with the guest lineup we had recently, and there's more to come on that. But as far as myself, my background is in insurance and data science. I like to read, run, and build stuff in my free time. One of these things is what we're going to be talking about today. We have a live demo today, and so I built some code, or I didn't build it. I orchestrated it, and Jules agents built it. So a little bit of clarification there. I didn't build anything, which is quite nice. But that's going to be today's episode. So we're just going to be talking about Jules and why I'm pursuing Jules versus other platforms and my thought process behind it. So we'll get into it. But the first thing is, I think, is most important is to make sure everybody's got the lay of the land with the environment. So when I talk big companies, we've got OpenAI, Google, and then Anthropic. They all have similar offerings. Like, it's really preference on what you want to do. And there's Grok, which is XAI, which is owned by, I guess, SpaceX now, or Tesla. I'm not sure who owns them now. There's a weird thing going on with all that, but it was quite confusing. So there is a couple companies, call it four. So Grok is positioned to be the best real-time AI there is because it's hooked directly into x.com. And so if you're asking about trade news or breaking news, either like crypto, stocks, world news, all that stuff, X AI with like Grok is undisputed the best. If you're talking about coding and like human speech, there is Claude, which is owned by Anthropic. Their product is Claude. Anthropic, it's a weird thing, like how strong the Claude branding is. Like Claude's branding is almost stronger than Anthropic. Like when people say Claude, they're like, okay, Claude, but they're not like, because it's just a weird thing. Like I feel like the brand of the model is stronger than the actual brand. Okay. And then there's OpenAI, which OpenAI I would say is more like a corporate consultant. And it's great at coding. It's great at everything. It's just all around great. And it has the biggest access or the largest repository of third-party integrations. So you can integrate pretty much anything. Claude is right up there with OpenAI, not to the same extent as OpenAI, but it's there, and they've both got all the important stuff for the most part. Google is like none of those things. Like Google is really, I would say, the only thing that really stands out on Google's product offering is the context window. So you can send a lot of information through these Google models, like a lot. And that is reflective in these offerings like Jules and Codex, which is owned by OpenAI, and then Claude Code, which is owned by Anthropic. So Anthropic's context window is around like 250,000. Codex is Codex is 1 million, and then Jules is 2 million. What is a context window? So a context window is basically your memory. Like, what can you remember and what can you handle? So that includes your own thoughts, documentation, resources, information, instructions, things that you've done prior, and also the things you're doing now. All of that stuff. So if you give a task to somebody and they can't remember what they did prior, then they'll get confused sometimes. If they can't remember the changes that they made and then the changes they're working on, that also causes issues. So with a big context window, theoretically, you should be able to remember more stuff and make less mistakes and handle more complex topics. If that's true or not, I think it's still up to debate. But another thing that I would say Google and XAI are really good at is cost per compute. So cost per compute is quite low for both of those models. Like their the Google Flash model, and then XAI's like basic model, they are quite cheap. And when I say quite cheap, like Flash, if I recall correct, like the brand new Flash model is, which is 3.1, is 40 cents per million tokens, which is cheap. And I think like the older models that are production models, like the 3.1 is still in beta. It's like global beta. The 2.5, I think it might be in like in 20 cents area. So it's quite cheap. Like it's super cheap. So saying all of that stuff, it's not that one is better than the other. They're just different approaches. There's pros and cons to all of them. For myself, I use Google products. I've got a Google phone. I'm a Google fanboy type of thing, but I am quite critical of Google because I think that they can do way better than what they're doing. They're doing a good job, but like how they handled their open, Google I/O, I was like, whoa, hold on. What is going on here? So I am very critical of them, but also enjoy using their products. And I would like a bigger context window just so I can do more stuff. And the main thing that was attractive about this Jules platform was the ability to kick off many agents all at once and just let them do their thing. And so with the Google Ultra subscription, you can do up to 60 simultaneous tasks at once. I don't even know how that looks or feels like, but I'll try to figure that out. How I review all the code, or I get some agent to review all the code and approve the commits to the repository, I'm not completely certain. But I did work on it today, and I built a very simple claims triage app that has a UI where you type in your claim and then you submit it. And then in the back end, AI examines the claim, it scores it, it looks for injuries, it provides an urgency score, and then it gives you a detection if it's fraud or not. So we'll be testing that out live later on this episode. But I just wanted to give you the lay of the land. So I think that we just jump right into it. Or maybe one more thing. When you're thinking about these platforms, you're no longer a IC or individual contributor. What is happening is the agents are becoming individual contributors, and you are becoming an orchestrator. And that's the big thing that people are building. Like Google just came out with a forked version of VS Code, anti-gravity. And anti-gravity, the whole thing about anti-gravity is mission control. And you can put missions on these agents, and the agents can go on their mission and come back to mission control with results. Similar here, or similar with Claude Code or Codex, is like you are the leader in this mini organization. Like you're the leader of the project. And then you've got all these ICs working, these agents, they're doing their thing. And you've got to review their stuff. And I think it gets to a certain point to where you can't review all their stuff, and some agent needs to review their stuff, and then maybe the stuff that they're not sure about kicks out to you. But there's no way I can review like 300 commits a day. But without further ado, I'll share my screen of my project. So share screen, this tab. Okay, so I've got a session. So the first thing that happens when you connect, and I guess I'm sharing my GitHub. If you guys want to connect or follow me, you can, but a lot of my stuff is going to be private. So you connect, and the first thing it'll ask you to do is it will ask you to connect your GitHub, and you can connect other like Git repositories, but it's best to use GitHub. And so if you don't like using GitHub, then this might be, I don't know, like inconvenient for you. Versus Codex is easier to connect to different vendors that organize Git. Okay, so after you do that, another thing you'll have to do is you'll have to set up your render account, which was super easy. They make it like a 3-click process. So you can get set up probably in under 5 minutes if you don't have any issues with authenticating in GitHub. If you can do all that just fine, you're all good. Another thing, I don't have currently Ultra on here, and so I can only look at Flash, but I think they also put in the Pro model as well, so you could use that. But currently, it can only use Flash, which I'm okay with. Flash is pretty good at coding. If I'm coding, I typically use Flash because it gets it done like 95% of the time, and it's way cheaper. So that's what I rock with a lot of times. And if I have something complicated, then I would call on Anthropic models, the golden goose. So I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. So I think it takes 24 hours for you to handshake with your workspace or with your upgrade. So keep that in mind when you do use this app and you're like, oh, I'm so excited to get started like myself. It takes 24 hours for the handshake to happen. But the sessions are quite generous. It says I only have one session, but I did quite a bit. So I'm not necessarily completely sure how that all works, to be honest with you. But let's get into the session. So I have a session, and another thing that bothers me a lot is, and I haven't figured out how to remove it, is I have this old thing that I did in college, a time series regression, and it doesn't let me remove it from the code base, which is really annoying. So I don't know if the only way to remove it is to create a new session, but I think there should be an easier way to remove stuff from your code base, because I was scrolling over and I accidentally clicked this, I guess, recommended repository, and I clicked on it on accident and it added it to my code base. I was like, wait, no, I don't want that on my code base, and I can't remove it. So I'm pretty sure that the way that you would remove it is you just create a new session and restart. But come on, like there should be like a way to just exit this. Like, all right, like I didn't mean to add it. Like, let's just drop it off. But regardless, I thought it was really cool. So if we get in here and we go to our session, it starts off at the top here. So I gave it an actuarial plan, and I told it the structure, how I wanted to do it. This project is based on Go, and I'm taking a hexagonal architectural approach, which, long story short, it makes it so the system doesn't necessarily recognize inputs and outputs. And so as technology changes, like it is changing really fast today, you can just switch out the different inputs and different outputs. The system doesn't necessarily care or know what that input is. Like nothing is like hard coded in. And so the system runs, you can just switch out your tires, really. So like think about like a hexagonal architecture as like a car, and it's snowing out and you put on your all weather, and it's summer, or not all weather. I think like I've never driven in the wintertime. I know you have winter tires, whatever it is. your winter tires, and then you switch them to your all weather tires, I guess. Maybe I switched them up, but you get what I mean. You can just interchange it, and it's not a big deal. It's not like, all right, now we've got to change out the interior and the engine. Like, that's a lot of work. You don't want to do that. So what this does is you can switch swap. So that's kind of the deal. So it kicks off. It tells me what it's up to. It just starts its project, its little task, and it goes through. It sets everything up, and when it sets things up, you can see what it's up to on the right side if it was the recent task. And you just go through here. It tells it what it's doing, and then the plan was approved, and it goes through and it does all the updates that it talked about. And then what happens is it makes a commit, and so it goes under the alias of Arc Skeleton Triage API, and then this is some kind of hash ID, agent hash ID. So the agents don't commit over each other or work on the same code, or it doesn't mess up the repository. So it's not necessarily an API key. It's really an agent ID is how I would say it. It's an agent ID that identifies this session's agent. So if you had like 60 agents working on your code base, they'd all have different IDs. And so what that prevents is things getting mixed up when they might have the same like, I guess, sub alias. And then if they don't have this, if they have different IDs, then it wouldn't overwrite. But if it was the same exact thing, then it would have issues. So it just prevents issues. It's a bit odd, but it is what it is. I mean, simple enough. I don't really care. And if you want, you can change the name. Okay, so that was one session, one task completed. And then it's important to think about these as tasks. It's not a token thing or usage limit. It's task based. So I give it a task, and I have a certain amount of tasks I can use per day. And without Ultra, I think I'm out at like 6 tasks or something, 6 or so. The daily session limit says 15. From what I read, it was 6 tasks. So I was trying to limit my tasks and get a lot of stuff done. But these aren't big texts. It's not too much going on. But the next one, I kind of go through and does its thing. And one thing I do like is once it starts building it out, it does verify the build. So it builds it and then verifies that it's good to go. And what's happening in the back end is it creates a virtual machine and makes a copy of the repository, makes a virtual machine, runs the code, does the updates, tests it, verifies the build is good, backs up the virtual machine, brings it back into here, and then commits it. So there's a lot going on in the background that you don't see, but it is very cool that it does all those things. It is quite slow though, 'cause sometimes it takes a while to run. And these time minutes, like the time, it says 43 minutes. It didn't actually take 43 minutes. I think one time I skipped over a commit. I think my total session was 43 minutes, but I skipped over a commit, and it caused it to increase the time. I'm not necessarily sure. Like sometimes this information's wrong. Let's see if I could get an example. Yeah, right here. So this freaked me out. So I'm working on a simple app, very simple app. It's got a couple lines of Go in there, a package, and it's got some HTML and some other stuff. But it's a very simple app. And then I saw a commit come in for review, and like the PR, the push request, and the pull request, and then it had 88,000. I was like, "Hey, yo, what? Where did you get 88,000 from? Like nothing in there could be 88,000. Like that's a lot of lines of code." And it was just a UI mistake. I'm not sure how it happens, but sometimes it happened to me twice in this session, and it happened earlier. I reviewed the code. I was like, "There's no way. What could it done?" So I downloaded the zip, looked at it, ran it locally, and I was like, "This doesn't have 88,000 lines of code. Why does it say that?" So that's wrong. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is doing that. So the first 2 tasks, I had to just build out the app, and then the third task, I had it put together a very lightweight build of the UI, and then it took a screenshot of the UI, or maybe it used some kind of app like Figma and put this together. But then it put it in there, which is quite nice, where it says, I've inspected the front end changes visually. And then it sent a screenshot in there and it's building it. I couldn't even see the commit yet. And then it's like, okay, I've completed my pre-commit stages. I've tested it. I've tested the build. It looks good. And let's move forward. And then it does the commit. And I think this process would be similar if you were a developer. Like you would work on a feature, you would make your additions to the code base, then you would build the app, make sure there's no errors or you don't get an error when you try to execute. And then from there, you would bring it back in and then you try to push it into the code base. And so that's basically what it's doing. It's mimicking what you would do on a day-to-day, which is kind of slow. But if you could do that at scale with, I don't know, 10 agents or so at a time, then you could get a lot done. Because I was able to get this done in like 40 minutes, and definitely wouldn't have taken me 40 minutes. I don't think it's a multi-day project, but there's some stuff going on for sure. And we'll look into that in a sec. And after that, it kind of just goes through its thing. It does the UI, and then the only thing I said was I can't see the commit because it committed it to like an old commit, and the commit was closed, and so I couldn't see it. There was like a sync issue or something like that. So I had to force it to commit again, and so I could see it again. A lot going on there. The UI is nice. I like how you can see the additions and what it's doing. And then I liked that it puts it into GitHub like right away. And I think there is a setting to where you can have it auto commit to the main, but I have that turned off because I'm checking the code. This is it. I mean, it was 2 hours ago, but it didn't take me 2 hours. The only thing that I did want to add, and the only mistake it did have, was when I was testing it locally, I had a timeout error on my stuff. I was like, what do you mean? This is simple enough. And it had a processing time for the AI to think and receive the query, send that to Google to send back the results within 10 seconds, which wasn't enough time. So I had to increase it. Though if I stop sharing again, let's do stop sharing here. And then if I come back and I will share, yes, I'll share my window and then anti-gravity. This anti-gravity? Cool. Yeah, this is the right one. Okay, so this is it. This is the project. I did not do anything besides increase the timeout. So we changed it to 60 from 10. That was it. And I didn't even do that. That was an AI agent. So this is anti-gravity. I haven't necessarily used it. I personally like Zed quite a bit. I feel more productive in Zed versus VS Code, but anti-gravity is not that bad. I'll get used to the mission control thing because I think I get a lot of credits per month to use it, but also I could just use the API within Zed. So it's pretty much the same thing. So I don't necessarily know what I'll do, but I'll test it out some more. Regardless. So this is the app. One thing that I do like about what this did is see this main.go. Main.go is more or less the instructions. There's not supposed to be a lot of logic built into here. So like it's subjective, but if your main.go is hundreds of lines, then your app is crap. So you want your main.go to be like 50 to 75 lines, like max. And if you have a lot of extra stuff in there, you should probably have that built into the package or somewhere else, not within the main.go. Like I would think about it as if you were looking at a cooking recipe and you were looking at like just the ingredients, not how to cook it, not anything like that, just like what ingredients do you need? That's basically main.go. Main.go is the ingredients, and then how to cook it, what it is, what is a fish, what is the ocean, what is salt, all that stuff. That's done in these other files. So if you've got a whole bunch of nonsense in your main.go, that means your app is jacked up. And so if there's not anything in here, and in this instance there isn't, then it's a good app. Subjective, but a very good sniff test. Okay, so let's run this. So I'm going to run it. So it's going to start up the local host. And then I will stop sharing this and I'll flip back over. Stop sharing. I'll flip back over and I'll share my local. Share window. Back to so many windows open. That's a problem. No. All right, there it is. I was like having a hard time. Okay, so you should be able to see this. Sometimes the font is kind of small on the big screen if you're watching it at your house on your TV. So sometimes I remember, a lot of times I don't, but today I've remembered. So this is the claims triage AI. Paste the details of the incident below to triage the claim. The first thing was I was talking to my mom on the phone and she was mean, ... So I'm going to submit this claim. Okay, it's processing. Sometimes it takes longer than what I would like. It's still going. Maybe I could refresh. Hold on. Refresh, because I had the localhost running before and I closed down the server. So let's see again. Okay, this might be a live demo issue. I tested it earlier. It's crazy. That's crazy. I'm going to go back to my other screen to see. So it's running. It's running. Okay, there we go. I was like, there's no way. I've tested this so many times. What? It's going to break. I tested all sorts of prompts to make sure the AI was working correctly. And then I put together like 3 prompts for us to discuss in the episode. So in this instance, I think it had a hard time because this isn't a real claim and I didn't build any logic or guidance on how to answer this. So the AI has some parameters on how it could answer. So for category, it can do auto, home, / like property and medical. That's it. So it can't say this is not a claim. It's not allowed. So I specified what it can answer and it's got to figure out what is the most likely answer of the answers available. And so if I ask it something where it doesn't have an answer available, I didn't build anything. And when I say I didn't ask AI to build anything that handles that. But that's kind of an edge case because it's not really a claim. People should not submit things that aren't claims, but you never know how people are going to use your apps. So I thought it would be interesting to see what AI thought. So it says that it's a medical claim and it's for my mental health. My mom is being mean to me. This is not true, by the way. I love my mom. She's super nice. She can be hard sometimes, but hard in a good way, making sure I'm on track. And it's a medical claim. The urgency is low. It's flagged. And so flagged is if it has an injury. So flag is not flagged as like it's suspicious or anything like that. Flagged is if it has an injury related claim. And then the probability of fraud on this is high. So I'm going to put in one where it seems like a small claim. So I'll read it out too. Maybe I could figure out a different voice. I was backing out of my driveway this morning and I lightly scraped my car. I can't even read with this accent. I lightly scraped my car bumper. I lightly scraped my rear bumper on the brick mailbox. There is a small scratch on the paint. The car drives perfectly fine. No one has been hurt. I just need to get an estimate for the cosmetic damage. Okay, that was my accent. I don't know what the next accent I'll do. So this one is triage result. It did it pretty quickly. Triage result auto urgency is 3, and it's flagged as no. No one got hurt. Probability of fraud fraud is low. All right, let's see. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to be very suspicious on this one. So I'll say, I was walking past. That's the same voice. I don't know. This is hard. How is suspicious? How does suspicious? I was walking past a parked car and the side mirror spontaneously exploded. A piece of glass allegedly hit my leg. There is no witnesses, no police reports, and the glass melted. I have severe backlash, and I demand the 50,000 wire transfer for emotional distress before I call my lawyer. That was my best. That was my best go. I don't know. I don't know. That was pretty bad. But we're staying in character. We're having fun. No one's no one's getting hurt. Okay, so this one is triage result, categories auto. Urgency is 10, flagged as yes because there was bodily harm here, and high probability of fraud, which makes sense. And so the next one is okay, so I can try to like. This is so weird. I don't know why I committed to doing this bit. All right, I could do like meows, meow meow. All right, never mind. that was a joke if you didn't catch on, but I guess I'll just read this in my normal voice. I'm getting shy now. So, my house is currently engulfed in flames. The fire department is here, but the roof just collapsed. We all got out, but my grandfather inhaled a lot of smoke and is being loaded in the ambulance right now. We lost everything. So then it's going to run. Okay, so it says categories home, urgency is 10, flagged no, probability low, fraud probability. So I thought that was pretty cool that it built this app, everything, the API connections, the whole 9 yards. I honestly don't know how it got my API connection. I don't know how it got. I'm running this locally, but they ran it on their own, and the code shows that it used the Google AI, like the Google API, AI API, and I don't know how it got the secret keys or what, but apparently it was running it, and it's already in the code base. So when I was running it locally, all I had to do is assign the key, the secret key, and it just worked. So I don't know what magic it was doing on its own, but it was pretty cool that it was able to build this app with limited instruction. The code was crisp. It never had any issues. There wasn't any spaghetti code involved. Everything was fine. The only thing that I had issues with was I accidentally added that item to the code base, a different repository that isn't related to my project, and I don't know how to remove it, which is annoying. And if there is a way to remove it, that's fine, but I don't necessarily care that there's a way to remove it because it's so hard to remove it as is. Like if you click on it, you go through the little tabs. I don't see anywhere where it's very clear to the user how to remove it from the code base. So in that instance, like whatever answer it is invalid. And then the weird stuff about the commits, where the commits is coming in at 88,000 sometimes. And it's done that twice within 40 minutes. So I'm not sure if that's a bug or what that is, but for the price that I'm paying, and I know that's deeply subsidized by Google, so I can't be like, oh yeah, I'm paying so much, because like Google, it's costing Google a lot of money to offer this product for what they're allowing customers to pay for it. But that's a problem in my opinion. So that was Jules. Overall, excited. I want to get very advanced with Jules, and I want to run it nonstop all day and have things scheduled and running throughout the middle of the day, throughout the night. Just have things scheduled to kick off and check it in the morning and check it in the evening, and then have all these things kicked off. So like in the evening, I review all the code that happened throughout the day, and then I approve everything or have some kind of approval process. And then after that, we walk through, man, it's getting late. We walk through the next steps for the next day, or I guess throughout the night, run that. And then hopefully in the morning, I review it. And I'm churning out like 3 coding sessions. So I do one in the morning, I approve everything from night, do it for the workday, after work, after, in the nighttime, look at what was done, approve it, schedule for nighttime, look at it in the morning, and so on. So it's just a constant cycle of workers. And if I can get everybody running all the time, that would be cool. So I'm going to stop sharing. Ooh, I almost stopped the recording. Okay, so real quickly, I'm just going to cover the flow aspect of what was built. So I'm going to share my screen again. Really cool stuff today. Very light, nothing serious, just keeping it breezy. So many tabs. There we go. So I made 3 videos. It's supposed to have like a similar character. I didn't put like a crazy amount of effort into it, but I'm sure that if you wanted to have one character, you could. All right. So this is the first one. Let me click into it. And this was made in, I don't know, a minute. I think it looks pretty cool for how quickly it was made and how much effort I put into it. This one's pretty cool too. I like the vibes. And this one's interesting. It's like a robotic alien from the Alien movies, Alien Predator. A lot going on. Well, this is supposed to allow you to do content creation and make videos. Apparently, I get 25,000 credits a month, which I have no idea how I'm supposed to use all that. It's supposed to be like an hour and a half worth of videos, and you can only generate shorter videos, I think. And each of these videos cost me 100 credits. So I have, and I guess 700 more, 24,700 more credits to spend. Hopefully I can get that done. But I thought this was really cool. I would like to dive into this a bit more. You could probably make some pretty cool marketing stuff, and I'm going to dive into the tool. But I'm really mostly interested in Jules. But I thought that since I'm doing a podcast episode about Jules, might as well flip some stuff into Flow. Dual purpose. It's economical for everybody. While I was waiting for the AI workers, I was playing around with Flow. And then when Flow was done, I was working with the workers, the AI workers and Jules, and then I would flip back and forth. So it made sense. It kept me entertained. But of course, wherever you are in this world, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Thank you for listening in, and I'll talk to you next week. Cheers. And next time you see me, I should be on a new camera. I've been trying to upgrade my camera situation for some time, but I'll talk to you soon. See ya.